叮咚，亲爱的小伙伴们，今天带来的是凡凡英音朗读的新一期视频，内容还是来自我钟爱的阿加莎·克里斯蒂的著名经典悬疑小说 And Then There Were None 无人生还。那么这本书呢，讲述了10位身份年龄各异的人受到神秘客人 Mr. and Mrs. Owen 的邀请，来到一个孤岛 Soldier Island 来度假。他们10个人先后离奇的死掉，最后一个人也没有伤。他们10个人的死状和死亡方式一一对应度假屋客房里挂着的那个恐怖的童谣。这个童谣描述了10个小士兵先后死掉，直到 And then there were none。 无人生还是阿加莎·克里斯蒂非常有名的小说之一。那么这一次凡凡朗读的是第3章的第1小节，是小说开篇后的第一个高潮惊悚部分。在这一节当中，10位客人从一开始的陌生和互相提防，到享用大餐后慢慢开始热络起来。本以为美好的假期开始了，而这个时候隔壁却传来了诡异让人毛骨悚然的声音。这个声音控诉他们每个人其实都是杀人凶手。Dinner was drawing to a close. The food had been good, the wine perfect. Rogers waited well. Everyone was in better spirits. They had begun to talk to each other with more freedom and intimacy. Mr. Justice Wargrave, mellowed by the excellent port, was being amusing in a caustic fashion. Dr. Armstrong and Tony Marston were listening to him. Miss Brent chatted to General MacArthur. They had discovered some mutual friends. Vera Claythorne was asking Mr. Davis intelligent questions about South Africa. Mr. Davis was quite fluent on the subject. Lombard listened to the conversation. Once or twice he looked up quickly, and his eyes narrowed. Now and then his eyes played round the table, studying the others. Anthony Marston said suddenly, "Quaint, these things, aren't they?" In the centre of the round table, on a circular glass stand, were some little china figures. "Soldiers," said Tony. "Soldier Island, I suppose that's the idea." Vera leaned forward. "I wonder, how many are there? 10? "Yes, 10 there are," Vera cried. "What fun! They are the 10 little soldier boys of the nursery rhyme, I suppose. In my bedroom, the rhyme is framed and hung up over the mantelpiece." Lombard said, "In my room too. And mine. And mine." Everybody joined the chorus. Vera said, "It's an amusing idea, isn't it?" Mr. Justice Wargrave grunted, remarkably childish, and helped himself to port. Emily Brent looked at Vera Claythorne. Vera Claythorne looked at Miss Brent. The two women rose. In the drawing-room, the French windows opened onto the terrace, and the sound of the sea murmuring against the rocks came up to them. Emily Brent said, "Pleasant sound." Vera said sharply, "I hate it." Miss Brent's eyes looked at her in surprise. Vera flushed. She said, more composedly, "I don't think this place would be very agreeable in a storm." Emily Brent agreed. "I've no doubt the house is shut up in winter," she said. "You'd never get servants to stay here for one thing." Vera murmured, "It must be difficult to get servants anyway." Emily Brent said, "Mrs. Oliver has been lucky to get these two. The woman's a good cook." Vera thought, funny how elderly people always get names wrong. She said, "Yes, I think Mrs. Owen has been very lucky indeed." Emily Brent had brought a small piece of embroidery out of a bag. Now, as she was about to thread a needle, she paused. She said sharply, "Owen? Did you say Owen?" "Yes," Emily Brent said sharply. "I've never met anyone called Owen in my life." Vera stared. "But surely—" She did not finish a sentence. The door opened, and the men joined them. Rogers followed them into the room with a coffee tray. The judge came and sat down by Emily Brent. Armstrong came up to Vera. Tony Marston strode to the open window. Blore studied with naive surprise a statuette in brass, wondering perhaps if its bizarre angularities were really supposed to be the female figure. General MacArthur stood with his back to the mantelpiece. He pulled at his little white moustache. That had been a damn good dinner. His spirits were rising. Lombard turned over the pages of punch that lay with other papers on a table by the wall. Rogers went around with the coffee tray. The coffee was good, really black, and very hot. The whole party had dined well. They were satisfied with themselves and with life. The hands of the clock pointed to 20 minutes past 9. There was a silence, a comfortable, replete silence. Into the silence came the voice, without warning, inhuman, penetrating. Ladies and gentlemen, silence please. Everyone was startled. They looked around, at each other, at the walls. Who was speaking? The voice went on, a high, clear voice. You were charged with the following indictments. Edward George Armstrong, that you did upon the 14th day of March, 1925, caused the death of Louisa Mary Cleese. Emily Caroline Brent, that upon the 5th of November, 1931, you were responsible for the death of Beatrice Taylor. William Henry Bloor, that you brought about the death of James Stephen Landor on October the 10th, 1928. Vera Elizabeth Claythorne, that on the 11th day of August, 1935, you killed Cyril Ogilvie Hamilton. Philip Lombard, that upon a date in February 1932, you were guilty of the death of 21 men, members of an East African tribe. John Gordon MacArthur, that on the 4th of January 1917 you deliberately sent your wife's lover, Arthur Richmond, to his death. Anthony James Marston, that upon the 14th day of November last, you were guilty of the murder of John and Lucy Coombs. Thomas Rogers and Ethel Rogers, that on the 6th of May 1929, you brought about the death of Jennifer Brady. Lawrence John Wargrave, that upon the 10th day of June 1930, you were guilty of the murder of Edward Seaton. Prisoners at the bar, have you anything to say in your defense?
非常感谢收看今天这期视频，如果喜欢的话，记得点个赞，不要忘了订阅我的频道。这一集朗读视频还有第二集读书解析部分，记得收看哦。Hi guys, welcome back to FanfaniShare and welcome to this small English learning community. 今天这期视频呢是上一期凡凡英音朗读的姊妹篇，在这一期视频当中，我会就上一期朗读内容来进行读书解析，会从词汇、人物、还有情节、还有语法上跟大家分享一些非常有用的知识。如果你感兴趣的话，就一定往下看吧。那么上一期的这个朗读内容主要讲的是10个客人来到孤岛 Soldier Island。从一开始非常的陌生，互相提防，到后来开始慢慢的熟悉热络。在吃完晚饭，大家开始交谈的时候，突然从隔壁传来非常惊悚诡异的声音，控诉他们每个人都是手上沾满鲜血的杀人凶手。为了方便今天的讲解，凡凡需要把10个人物来让大家快速熟悉一下，相信很多小伙伴都已经非常了解了。首先呢，我们有非常英俊的纨绔子弟，就是 Tony Marston。那么另外就是威严不苟言笑的法官，叫做 Mr. Justice Wargrave。另外一个是年轻的女教师 Vera Claythorne。下一个是一开始化名为 Mr. Davis 的侦探，叫 Mr. Bloor。那么再下一个是战战兢兢非常胆小的女佣人，叫做 Ethel Rogers。接下来是对自己死去的妻子依然一往情深的将军，叫做 General MacArthur。另外一个是道德标杆修女 Emily Brent。 那么接下来是事业小成的医生 Dr. Armstrong。 那么下一个是 Ethel Rogers 的老公，是男管家，叫做 Thomas Rogers。 最后一个是当过雇佣兵的 Philip Lombard。 我不得不说，我在看小说的时候脑补这个 Lombard 是一个身材矫健非常干练的一个中年男人，但是没想到 BBC 剧版把这个 Lombard 选得这么帅，迷妹脸。那么在这一小节当中呢，给凡凡印象最深的就是那个非常诡异惊悚的声音来控诉这10个人。那么在这个控诉的文字当中有这么一句话， You were charged with the following indictments。 在这句话当中呢，有一个特别好的英文单词，就是 indictment。 indictment这个单词一共有3个音节，重音是第2个，但是小伙伴们要注意，就是这个 C 是不发音的。在念饱满的时候呢，念 indictment， 但是我们在发音流利的时候，可以把这个清辅音 t 不完全爆破，就是 indictment。 它的意思是 a formal statement of accusing someone， 它是一个法律用语，表示的意思就是控告和控诉。 但是这个单词呢，除了用作法律用语之外，还可以表示对于社会的黑暗不良现象的控诉。比方说这句话 These rapidly escalating crime figures are an indictment of our society. 这些快速增长的犯罪数字是对我们社会的一种控诉。另外呢，对于这个诡异令人毛骨悚然的声音，阿婆用了不同的词来形容。首先她说 inhuman， 这个声音是非常非人类、诡异和怪异的。阿婆还写到 penetrating， 它是一个现在分词，动词原形是 penetrate， 这个地方 penetrating 来描述一个人的声音非常尖锐。此外，阿婆还说这个诡异的声音是 a high clear voice。 这几个形容词就可以让我们非常形象的来脑补那个声音是多么的诡异，然后呢多么的响亮刺耳。接下来给我印象最深的就是在这个控诉书的文字当中，阿婆展现了非常棒的 paraphrase 的能力。因为这个控诉书是要去说10个人你杀了谁，你谋杀了谁，所以呢不可能阿婆一直都在说 you killed, you murdered。然后我们发现就是他用了不同的这个词组来去表达你让谁死了。比方说 cause the death of someone， 再比方说 be responsible for the death of someone， bring about the death of someone， be guilty of the death of someone， send one to one's death。那么由于这是一个比较文字书面性的表达，所以呢这些表达还是比较的正式。比方说 be responsible for the death of someone， 其实口语当中我们直接说就是 you killed someone。 当然了，阿婆在这个地方也用了 kill 这个单词，但是为了避免重复，阿婆使用了不同的方式来表示谋杀这个行为。那么另外呢，阿婆小说的很大特色就是有大段大段的人物对话，所以在描述人物是如何说话、怎样说话的时候，他会使用很多很多的 adverbs 副词去来修饰这个如何去说。比方说在本段这个朗读当中，那个帅哥 Anthony Marston said suddenly quaint these things aren't they？ 他指着桌上10个小士兵说，哎，这些小玩意儿好奇怪呀。再比方说，当 Vera Claythorne 说到这个屋子的主人叫做 Owen 的时候， Emily Brent said sharply， 她很严肃地说 I've never met anyone called Owen in my life。 我这辈子都没见到一个叫做 Owen 的人。再比方说，提到海浪声音的时候，一开始呢 Vera Claythorne 说她不喜欢海浪的声音，然后 Emily Brent 觉得非常吃惊。接下来 Vera Claythorne said more composedly， 她更加镇定泰然自若地说blah blah blah。 所以我们发现就是你可以使用不同的副词去来放到这个动词后面来修饰这个主人公是如何做事情的。再比方说 say gravely 严肃地说， dryly 冷淡地说， indifferently 漠不关心冷淡地说， excitedly 激动地说。最后一个单词是阿婆的非常喜欢的御用词，叫做 placid 平静的，那么副词就是 placidly。阿婆会经常使用这个单词，小伙伴们可以注意一下。Okay, and now let's talk about the plot. 下面我们来谈论就是这个朗读情节当中的一个小细节，就是当这个 Emily Brent 和 Vera Claythorne 坐在窗边的时候，他们听到就是这个大海 The sea murmuring against the rocks， 这个海浪拍打岩石的声音。然后呢 Emily Brent said pleasant sound， Vera 却说了一句 I hate it，我讨厌它。这是一个不太合常理的回答，对吗？所以呢 Emily Brent 就觉得非常奇怪，惊讶地看着这个 Vera Claythorne。 这个时候 Vera flushed， 她突然脸红了，有点这种不知所措。 And then she said more composedly， 接下来又比较泰然自若镇定地说 I don't think this place would be very agreeable in a storm。 我觉得这地儿吧，如果遇到暴风雨可就不咋地了。她其实是想转移话题，因为呢他下意识的反应其实在揭露了自己的黑暗历史。 Vera 曾经有一个非常心爱的男友叫做 Hugo， 那么他为了让 Hugo 继承遗产，但是呢 Hugo 有一个亲戚是一个小男孩，也是 Vera 的学生，这个小男孩会先于 Hugo 继承这笔遗产。那么为了让自己心爱的男人继承这笔钱，当这个小男孩在海里游泳开始溺水的时候， Vera 在小男孩身后佯装去救他，但是下意识却没有伸出援助之手，导致了小男孩的死亡。 这段历史是 Vera 非常不堪回首的黑暗历史，也就解释了她为什么非常讨厌海浪的声音。好了，那么在今天视频的最后一个部分呢，我想提一个特别重要的语法点，就是所谓的 inverted sentence 倒装句。倒装句有各种各样的形式，比方说否定意义的副词在句子开头，句子要倒装。那么在这个部分当中呢，阿婆使用了所谓的介词词组位于句子开头的倒装形式。我们来看这些例子。In the center of the round table, on a circular glass stand, were some little china figures. 我们发现就是在这个句子的开头是两个介词词组，然后呢，这个主语 little china figures 和这个谓语部分 were 是倒过来的，这就是一个典型的倒装形式。再比方说 Into that silence came the voice， 前半部分还是一个介词短语，我们发现主语 the voice 和谓语动词 came 还是倒过来的。那么真正的句子形式是 The voice came into that silence。由于我们把这个介词词组放到了句子开头，所以呢，我们把这个谓语动词和主语颠倒过来，这个就是所谓的 inverted sentence 倒装句。如果你想提高自己的写作水平和写作能力的话，可以适当的使用。视频的最后呢，凡凡给大家出一个小作业，我们来看这句话：在长沙发上躺着一只毛茸茸的白猫，开心的咕噜咕噜着。那么这句话使用倒装形式，用英文应该如何表达呢？ Well, we can say, On the long sofa lay a fluffy white cat, purring pleasantly. 前面是一个介词词组，然后呢 lay 是动词 lie 的过去式，那么动词和这个 fluffy white cat 主语颠倒过来，并且我使用分词词组 purring pleasantly 来描述这个猫是如何躺在沙发上的。Alright, thank you for watching today's video. 如果你喜欢今天这期视频的话，不要忘了点赞、留言、收藏、转发。Okay, I'll see you in my next one. Bye. Love you.